All right, guys, we'll go ahead and do our third of 4 lessons over conic sections. Today's lesson focuses on an ellipse. So just visually, an ellipse just kind of looks like an oblong, circular kind of figure, right? So think an egg or a rugby ball, and they can either kind of be on their side, called a horizontal one, or kind of standing tall, which would be a vertical one. Kind of our main stuff that we focus on within an ellipse it's got 2 sets of what we call vertices. Those are the points we use to kind of graph it. So as I go down to this, we have vertices and we have co-vertices, and then we also have this thing called a focus, or 2 of them called foci. Anyways, there's a nice diagram there of both a horizontal and a vertical ellipse. Our equations that we'll be referring to are x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. That's a horizontal ellipse. Or a vertical, x squared over b squared plus y squared over a squared equals 1. Kind of a key there is that you have 1 on the right side by itself. Okay. We'll get into that A, B, and C stuff last kind of thing. When it comes to the focus, we can find, or that's how C is related to A and B, right? So you might note here, well, it says it there. So just as we run through A, B, and C real quick, A is your major vertex, B is your minor vertex, and C is your focus. Okay, major. I don't know if you want to write that out real quick. This is your major vertex. Actually, I think they just call that vertex. B is your minor vertex, and then C is your focus. Focus is not actually part of the graph. It's just kind of a guide point. Okay. Anyways, here we go. Let's go ahead and get to it. So write an equation in standard form given the vertex and the minor vertex. Okay. Just so we know, the bigger number of the 2 vertices is called A. So that's just why we would call A 6 here and B 4. Okay. So if A is like a y coordinate like it is here, this would be a vertical ellipse. So this is vertical. All right, but as far as writing your equation goes, pretty much you're just subbing into this. You have x squared over something plus y squared over something. Sorry. Equals 1. Okay, so a squared goes underneath one of them, b squared goes under the other. So A in this case is a y coordinate, so we would put 36 with y, and then B is an x coordinate, so we would put 16 with x. So altogether, x squared over 16 plus y squared over 36 equals 1. So same kind of deal for number 2, right? So we'd have x squared over something plus y squared over something equals 1. Now we'll figure out what goes where. Okay. In this case, A, the bigger number, is 7. That's also an x coordinate, so this would be a horizontal. Okay, B is 3 because it's the smaller number. What goes under x squared? That would be your 7 squared, or 49. So 3 squared, or 9 squared over 9 equals 1. Anybody have any questions or anything before you try number 3? All right, why don't you try number 3? We'll talk about it in 38 seconds. You know this is well thought out if I have a specific time, like 38 seconds on there. No, I really scrutinize that. All right, in this case, we'd say A, which is an x-coordinate, is 10. Okay, so 10 squared or 100 is going to go under x squared. And then B is the smaller number. That's a y-coordinate. That squared is 64. Altogether, I have x squared over 100 plus y squared over 64 equals 1. Anybody have any questions before we move on? All right, so that kind of gives you helps you to understand what we can pull from an equation. So we'll go a little bit further into that in 4, 5, and 6, where we'll actually graph. It also wants us to find the foci, the focus for each one. And I apologize about these super tiny graphs. I need to probably fix that, but just do your best with them, okay? All right, so here goes. Looking at our equation for number 4. We would say that B is, I know it's B because 16 is smaller than 49. Thinking square root of 16 to get 4, so B would be at plus or minus 4, 0. A, my vertex, my vertices, are going to be at 0, comma, plus or minus the square root of 49 is 7. Okay? So let's go ahead and put those 4 points on our graph and kind of see what it looks like. So the graph is 10 by 10, if that helps you to find where 7 and negative 7 are. And then 4, 0, and negative 4, 0. And again, sorry about the tiny little graphs here. And really, as far as graphing these goes, we don't really need the focus. This is all we really need, okay? But we will address the focus, so I'll go ahead and just kind of sketch my little egg best I can. And, you know, it won't be perfect. As you can see, mine is not. But you just do your best. Go through all your vertices. Okay, that's really all you need to graph it, all right? But again, it does ask me to find the focus or the foci. So here's how you would do that. That's where we use that c squared equals a squared minus b squared. Okay, so in this case, we would have c squared equals 7 squared minus 4 squared. So that's 49 minus 16 is, let's see, 33. And if we take the square root of that just to kind of see where it is on the number line, square root of 33 is about 5.7. So C is on the same axis as your major vertex, so that's a y-coordinate. C is going to be roughly 0 plus or minus 5.7. Okay, so if we want to look at that, you know, where it would be in terms of the rest of our stuff, be right up there close to 6. Okay. And I won't get too much into the definition of a focus, but it has to do with that equidistant thing that all these conic sections do. But we'll skip that for now. We don't need to get that far into the weeds to cover these examples. All right, let me do number 5, and then you can try number 6. Okay, so A in this case is an x-coordinate, because that's the bigger number. So A would be plus or minus 6, comma 0. Zoom in a little bit there. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on there. Plus or minus 6, comma 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 6. Okay, so those are my vertices there. And now my minor vertices are going to be at 0, comma the square root of 20. So this is, again, B plus or minus. The square root of 20 is about 4.5, I think. Let me just make sure on that. 20. Yeah, about 4.5. So 0, 4.5 is tough on this little graph, I know. I'm sorry about that. So just do your best. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Okay, so we'll go ahead and race around. And again, mine always end up looking less like a nice egg and more like a lopsided potato, but not my best skill. Yes. Like eggs were kind of like what? Yeah, they're not perfect, no. But just in general, yeah. They got that kind of look, you know. All right, so then our focus is going to be somewhere, you know, on the x-axis. We can use that equation to figure out exactly where c squared equals 36 minus 20 is 16. So c is going to be at plus or minus, the square root of that is 4, 4, 0. So 4, 0 is there, negative 4, 0 is there. Now I gave my little potato guy a C. There you go. Anybody have any questions or anything? All right, you'll try whatever number that is, number 6, and we'll talk about it in about 2 minutes, okay? There's one more example type, but that'll be the lesson. Let me know if you need any help while you're working. Oh, one extra step here. Sorry, I had to help you with this first. You want to have 1 on the right side, so start by trying to divide everything by 16. I'll show that in just a second. You divide everything by 16. That will give you a 1 on the right side, which is what you need. So I went ahead and did that up there if you had any trouble with that step. All right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and finish it up here. I've been working on it while you guys were working on it. Your minor vertices are at 2, 0, and negative 2, 0. Your major vertices are at 0, 4, and 0, negative 4. And then your foci are just a hair below them, which is kind of tough to even squeeze on there, but there you go. Something like that. Anybody have any questions or anything on that one? Everybody good to move on? All right, your last example type will say, given a focus and a co-vertex, give me an equation, right? So for the equation, we need A and B. They give us B and C. So you just have to use those to find A, okay? So we'll remember for this one, that equation, C squared equals A squared minus B squared. Or if you wanted to even solve it for a, you could, since that's what we're using it for. So solved for a, we'd have a squared equals, adding b squared to both sides, c squared plus b squared. That would work too, okay? That might help us get it more directly, but anyways. So yeah, we'll go ahead and find a first. So we go in this case, so we have, again, we have c, we have b, and then we have that equation. All right, so we'll go a squared equals 6 squared plus 8 squared. That's 100. So a squared equals 100. That tells me a is, is at plus or minus 10, comma, 0. The square root of 100 to get 10. Okay? So I have that. I have a, I have b. Now I just write my equation like I did in example 1. So it's x squared over 100. Sorry. X squared over 100 plus y squared over 64 equals 1. Notice 36 is not in my equation, right? Because the focus doesn't show up in the equation, just a and b. Okay. Anybody have any questions? All right. You'll try number 8, and that'll be it. While you're working on that, I'll go ahead and post the homework and stuff. So if you're just feeling it, if you're feeling the momentum, you can carry it on to finishing the Math Excel. You guys will be excited to know, or we're going to complete the whole video too. So that is good. All right, so your final equation here would be x squared over 89 plus y squared over 64 equals 1. Anybody have any questions on where those numbers are coming from? Yes. How do you know if it's 0 comma square root of 89 versus square root of 89 comma 0? So that so I would just say a couple ways. If one vertex is already an x coordinate, then the other vertex has to be a y coordinate. That's one way. Or you can also go back to the definition and focus is always on the same axis as your major vertex or your A. So A and the focus are always on the same axis. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. And then just again, if B is an x coordinate, then A would have to be a y coordinate. Okay. So kind of two ways to tell. Good question. Anybody got anything else? All right. So I think this Math Excel set is 7 questions. I will be prepared to take questions if you have any. We'll do one more lesson called hyperbolas. Great name. Tomorrow. I don't know.